Hello, welcome back to Sage and Stone Homestead. My name is Heather. We're back in the kitchen today, but we are going to be preserving food in the freeze dryer mostly, I think, in this video. I might also do a little bit of canning. We are getting some very cold temperatures coming up in just a couple of days, and I think everything in my greenhouse is just going to be kaput, which is fine. I had planned to basically have everything taken out of the greenhouse by about Christmas time. Not everything is at the maturity that I would have hoped for. The broccoli has done really well, but at the moment I need to get dinner started before I unload the freeze dryer. I figured I would turn on the camera for that. I had shown our freeze dried bone broth. I really like preserving the bone broth this way. I've actually got another one of these in the shed. I saw once on this channel, the Townsends. He does a lot of like 17th, 18th century cooking type tutorials. He had done a video on pocket soup. It's basically dehydrated broth that you can put in your pocket. I thought it was really cool. So you don't have to have a freeze dryer in order to dry broth and have it be shelf stable. I'll link that video below. It's really cool. I just bought this giant bag of rice. I know you're supposed to rinse it. Don't come for me. I'm not gonna do it. What I have here are sausages from the Cooney pigs that we had butchered 2 years ago. We are still trying to go through these sausages. They're just regular sausage links. I think the butcher used something called leg seasoning. It's okay. I actually really like the maple sausages that we got made out of our pigs from this year. I think the reason we have so much of this sausage left is it just hasn't been my favorite. It does the job, basically. We can jazz it up. I harvested this broccoli last week and it's been in the front fridge. It smells okay, it's a little farty. Fresh produce really can sit in the fridge for a lot longer than produce that you can buy at the grocery store because it's basically been in the fridge for a little while, you know, by the time you buy it. So the plan, if I had harvested a decent amount of carrots out of the bed that I did not harvest a decent amount of, was to actually either freeze dry or can up those carrots. It's true that you can keep carrots in the refrigerator for quite a long time. My problem is I will forget it's there, and eventually things do go bad. So it's better for me if I can preserve something, I can put it on the shelf, I can see it, and then I can remember to use it. A lot of times we choose and prefer to eat what's coming fresh out of the garden. We are very soon coming to the point where there's going to be nothing fresh coming out of the garden. So we'll be reaching a lot more for our preserved foods, and that's great. But also I will probably start either some microgreens or some sprouts on the counter for fresh greens. The kids really like it when I put sprouts together. Maybe we'll start that in this video too. The last video I did with the creamy mustard sauce rabbit, when I make that meal from scratch, I usually have, darn it, okay. I usually have quite a lot of the gravy left over, and that was the case yesterday. And so I stuck that in the freezer. That's what this is, creamy mustard sauce. This one here is barbecue sauce, and so whenever I want to make it again, I don't have to make that sauce from scratch. I could just reach for this, thaw it out, and then cook the rabbit in that. It's much less sauce the second time, and I don't do that a third time. I just use it twice. That's a nice hack for easy homemade meals. You only have to really do the work once. You can get 2 really good meals out of it. I had a viewer send me this seasoning, Payne County Gold meat, veggie, and seasoning blend. There's a couple different seasoning blends that they sent me. This one is amazing. It's really, really good on like all the things. We'll add this at the end of all the cooking to jazz everything up and bring it together. This is something that we'll probably have leftovers of, and if we have enough of them, it would be really good to serve a fried egg over top of the leftovers. sounds yummy. Or serve it in like a burrito, maybe with some salsa. I'm getting better at using leftovers and coming up with ideas for leftovers. I haven't been good at that in the past. The light's a little bit weird here in the shed, but check this out. Do y'all remember when we were getting a freeze and I took my chances with the greenhouse? The plants froze, and so I had to harvest these Tramontino squashes green. It might be a little bit hard to tell, but these two squash that are right here are actually turning their ripe color. They will look a lot like a butternut squash when they're ripe, and I noticed that these ones were starting to turn. So I figured I'd leave them and see if we could get them to ripen. So far it's working. Here are the cauliflower greens that we stuck in the freeze dryer yesterday. They took 15 hours to dry fully. They are nice and light and very crispy. And what I'm actually going to do is try to cram all of these into this one jar. I like these jars. We get these for free from our local Amish store. They have a deli in there that sells sandwiches, and very frequently we can get half-gallon jars just sitting outside of their store. These particular jars are not the best for milk. I will use them for milk if I need to, but I tend to make big messes when I try to pour milk out of those jars. So I like to use them for my dried goods like teas and this kind of thing. Oh yeah, we'll be able to get all 5 trays in here. That's good. I don't need them to stay, you know, the larger size that I had cut them. I sprinkle this in rice and in pasta and things, and it doesn't have to be big at all. Before I started freeze drying veggies, I would just buy a lot of parsley at the store and zhuzh up my meals that needed a little bit more green with that parsley, and that was good, but obviously I want to use what I can produce here as much as possible. And it's been really great. The freeze dryer has been awesome because we harvested these and immediately stuck them in the freeze dryer and immediately locked in all of that fresh harvested nutrition. There wasn't really a lot of time between being on the plant to where they were already deep frozen, and so there's a ton of nutrients in these little leaves. That parsley that's at the store, I have no idea how long it had been sitting there or how long ago it had been picked, so it might have just been green for the color and a lot less potent on the nutrients. I don't know. Last year I freeze dried a lot of broccoli greens, and I still will probably do that this year too, but I want to see the difference in flavor with the cauliflower. This is a lot less potent. The broccoli greens have that really intense broccoli flavor. It really comes out in the freeze dryer. We think it's really good, but this is actually better. It's nicer. It's a little bit more mild. Sometimes the kids protest a little bit when I want to add broccoli greens to their mac and cheese. I think they protest a lot less with this. This actually reminds me a lot of kale chips in flavor, only made a little bit of a mess. That was 2 pretty large cauliflower plants. The full freeze dryer reduced down to a quart. Pretty incredible. I'm gonna add a desiccant pack just because it makes me feel good. I like these particular desiccant packs because if they have absorbed too much moisture and they're not going to absorb anymore, the little beads on the inside turn blue. Right now they're orange, so I can look inside the jar and know that everything is fine if I can see orange beads. Good morning. So I'm getting ready to go out and milk the goats, but before I did that I wanted to think about what can I have going while I am doing my milking. I get asked a lot about how I get done all the things I get done, and the answer is multitasking. A lot of times my tasks overlap. So my pumpkin is going to be roasting while I'm milking the goats, while I've got some chef cheese hanging, and of course I'm making a YouTube video. Pumpkins don't usually release gas like a can of soda when you cut into them. Doesn't smell funny. It doesn't look funny either. Maybe it was just a difference in temperature. This has been outside. Can't say I've ever heard that before. But yeah, It's totally fine in here. This is one of the pumpkins that volunteered on our property this year. I didn't start any of these intentionally this year. This is a Dutch fork pie pumpkin. I love them. And my favorite thing to make with them is actually pumpkin scones. One of these days I will film the whole process of the pumpkin scones, but the main ingredient as far as it makes it pumpkin-y is the pumpkin, obviously. And I like to can up the pumpkin that we use for the pumpkin scone recipe. Now, the way that I can pumpkin is a Rebel canning type method. This is not an approved way of canning pumpkin, but I like it. I have canned pumpkins in cubes before, which is the approved way of canning. And what you do in order to turn it into a pumpkin puree is drain the juice out of the cubed pumpkin, and then you can put an immersion blender down into the jar and blitz it up. I am going to be saving these seeds to put on the website. Every time I put Dutch fork pie pumpkin seeds on the website, you guys just buy them up, which is awesome. Happy to share. But I haven't been listing them until I've been using them. So I have already put up the pumpkin seeds for December. I will be having another drop in January. So these pumpkin seeds will be in that drop. 350-degree oven for about an hour. I want this pumpkin to be fork tender, and then I know it's done.
She made one of the other food.
Which chicken?
The chicken that it's like, it looks like Oreo. He's very mean.
He has a little comb. I don't know if you all with chickens have experienced the same thing that we have, but the chickens, well, the roosters that have the little comb, the pea comb on top, usually that's associated with like a blue or green colored egg. Those roosters are so mean. We've got a mean one out there?
Yeah, he's a jerk.
They just came inside and they were like, Mommy, I think we need to turn Star into soup. Not today.
We can make it into chicken and dumplings.
It's actually the time of day where I would normally be doing school with the kids, but it's actually sunny out today, and it really hasn't been that sunny this whole fall, and I know that this weekend it's going to be really cold. And so one of the things I really like about homeschooling is we can adjust our homeschool time to when it suits our needs. So if it's sunny on Friday and lovely, it's going to be 50 degrees today. It's going to be 22 on Sunday. They're going to be inside, and guess what? We can do school on Sunday. That's probably going to be my plan for today. Skip school because it's a nice day, and then do school on Sunday. When I was in public school, we got to skip school when the weather was bad. It's different here. I do have a video about how I set up our raw milk chev. It's the base recipe to our ice cream. I make cream cheese with it. You can obviously make chev. I make yogurt out of this. It's a very versatile recipe. Holy moly. When I am straining the chev for ice cream, I like to strain it all the way. So I want to hang this for quite a while, few hours, and then I can set up the ice cream tonight, and it'll be ready to make into ice cream tomorrow. Ice cream night is Sunday here. We'll see if the kids want ice cream when it's 22 degrees outside. They might not. Which one of y'all is going to be soup, huh? Oh no. Okay, well. Need to figure out which one of these is the one the kids wanted to turn into soup. Since I don't have time to deal with a rooster right now, we are going to elect to feed him to the pig. It's better than letting them continue to fight and hurt each other and suffer. Goodness, he's heavy. Okay, Chloe's happy. I had to turn the fan back on in here because it's so nice. I think what I'd like to do is get some more cauliflower. Those dried cauliflower leaves were so good. See here, I may leave this particular plant and the ones that look like they have a little bit of a head for, you know, the last minute. I'll grab this one. That one's starting to separate anyway. That one kind of has a lot of bugs on the leaves. I wish the aphids would hurry up and go away. Oof. The other day, there were very few aphids out on the greens. I had very little to rinse off when I loaded the freeze dryer the last time. It's a little bit different today. There's quite a few aphids on these leaves, but thankfully they do rinse off really easy. Ordinarily, I wouldn't worry too much about trying to preserve leaves that had a little bit of bug pressure on them. I would just take off the plants and feed them to the chickens because the chickens don't care. But this year is a little bit different. I planted out that whole greenhouse and I really haven't gotten a lot out of it. The broccoli has done really well, but that's about it. And so I'm trying to eke out what I can for my efforts. I can't remember what the term is when you already have X amount invested in the thing, and so you justify putting in a little bit more, just a little bit more extra effort to get out what you can. That's what this is. Actually, I think I remembered the term, sunk cost fallacy. Now, I don't know that that term fits this situation perfectly because it kind of insinuates that the cost that you have into it, putting any more effort, won't be worth it. And I think that that really is relative. It depends on the person. This might not be worth it for everyone. And like I said, in other years, it wouldn't be worth it to me. But I really want to be able to get what I can out of these plants. So it is worth it to me. This year, next year might be different. Salad for Chloe to go with her chicken dinner. So the greens are loaded in the freeze dryer, and I did shut the oven off at the point where I figured that this was done. It's still hot, obviously, and that's good. Beautiful. So I'm going to do is scrape out the flesh, put it in this pot. I have made pumpkin puree out of several different varieties of pumpkins. A lot of those really pretty decorative pumpkins that you can find around this time of year. We're a little bit late for that right now, but you know, around fall time. And honestly, they're not all created equal. So definitely taste the pumpkin that you're getting ready to can, but for the most part, even those decorative pumpkins are quite edible. It's just some are more suited for savory applications rather than sweet applications. And this pumpkin is actually really great for both, but I use it mostly in sweet applications because it's very sweet all on its own. If you have never tried pumpkin with like a sharp cheddar cheese and sausage, it's really good. Pumpkin skin along with the ribs from the cauliflower leaves. This is going to be Chloe's dessert. She's eating like a queen today. I need to let that cool first though. And the juice that's left on the pan, I am going to hang on to it for now. I may want to add a little bit to it for consistency. This is the same process that I have used to freeze dry pumpkin before. Roasted it and then scraped it off and let it cool, and then stuck it in the freeze dryer. I haven't actually used my freeze dried pumpkin yet. Freeze dried food lasts for such a long time, especially if it's done properly and packaged well, that it's kind of the last thing that I reach for. I guess depending on what it is. Some things I intentionally will freeze dry in order to use within, you know, the next year or so. I'll tend to use whatever I can fresh first, and then I'll reach for stuff that maybe will go bad a little bit sooner. Canned food, really, as long as it stays sealed, it's good on the shelf. It will degrade in nutrients over time, especially if it's maybe not stored ideally, like in a cooler place, out of direct sunlight, things like that. But I do have 2 more pumpkins, and I may freeze dry one of them too. So here is the pumpkin from the one pumpkin that we just roasted. And then I roasted this smaller pumpkin the other day. It's been in the fridge. You can see that there is some liquid in this bag. I think I am going to put the liquid from this bag in here, and I've got to heat this up. I like that consistency. Ooh, we're starting to boil already. At least bubble. Sometimes the material at the bottom heats up faster and will kind of bubble through the top. I do want this heated through, but I do like this consistency here. So I don't need to add more of that liquid that I saved. Two of them. That's just what happens because a lot of times my fingertip tight is too tight. That's fine. I can fridge these too. Well, that's that as far as the greenhouse food preservation for now. I do still need to harvest broccoli and get that in the fridge. Probably I'm betting that we'll eat that fresh pretty fast. I need to take out some of the lettuce greens and the kale and make salads out of those this weekend. Anyhow, I hope you're staying warm. I'll see you guys again soon.